Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Monday, the 8th of April, 2024, and this is program number 1159 of the Lunchroom. Of course, in addition to radio on 101.1 FM, you can also get us at our website. It is rcistlucia.com. You can download our older shows on that platform as well in podcast form. And we are streaming live on Facebook. Just search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International on Facebook. And, of course, be sure to like and share that link, please, with your friends and family, wherever they may be. And if you want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, this Monday, the number to call in is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you also have that option of messaging in to our WhatsApp number. It is 724-0008. So save that into your contacts on your mobile device, and you can message in or call in via WhatsApp. Again, that number is 724-0008. Now, some birthday greetings for today, for April the 8th, going out to Miss Patricia Mitchell, and many would know her as a retired teacher. She's taught in many institutions, including St. Aloysius R.C. Boys Primary, St. Mary's College, many others, and we're wishing her a good birthday celebration. We do hope that you can enjoy this one. So best wishes to Miss Patricia Mitchell on her birthday. Also sending birthday greetings to Mr. Dexter Faisal. Happy birthday to you. We're wishing you a wonderful birthday celebration. Hope you enjoy it. And also over to the States, sending birthday greetings to Mrs. Charms, Joseph, and Dino. Happy birthday to you, Charms, and we're hoping that you're having a fantastic birthday. And also to Mr. Edmund Larry O'Geist, who's celebrating his very special birthday, turned 70 today. And so we do hope that you're having a wonderful birthday. And, of course, a bit of history for today. Well, in the year 1898, on this day, there was the Battle of Atbara River, in which Anglo-Egyptian forces defeated 15,000 Sudanese fighters during the Mahdist War, a turning point in the reconquest of Sudan. 1913, on this day, saw China's National Assembly opening in Peking, and that was the first free democratic parliament in Chinese history. 2004, on this day, saw a humanitarian ceasefire agreement with the conflict in Darfur. It was signed by the Sudanese government and two rebel groups, ending hostilities amid a 45-day ceasefire. And in 2021, on this day, Egyptian archaeologists announced their most important find since Tutankhamun's tomb, and that was the discovery of a lost quote-unquote golden city, the 3,000-year-old ancient city of Aten near Luxor. And we now move on to our dish of the day. The Daily Dish is brought with the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also glass, glassware and vanity. Box, doors, you'll see. Come down to my nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Lance Road in Castries. Bosses, you Grozile. Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
Excuse me, and welcome to our program here in St. Lucia, of course, from the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. Now, it is April the 8th, and it's a Monday, and perhaps it would be a fairly ordinary day for many individuals who may not be having any special anniversary, but for those who are into astronomy, into monitoring celestial events, it appears to be a pretty significant day for them. And it is being looking up to the sky and looking up to the stars and looking up into the what we can see, and even the fact that we can see has a lot to do with bodies external to the planet that we are on, the planet Earth. And as a result of that, for hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors have been very keen to observe what is in fact happening up in the sky. We can, of course, even appreciate even down to the days of the week, which we actually have. They come from it is believed that they originate from Sumeria in the Mesopotamian region, the Tigris and Euphrates civilizations that existed thousands of years ago, in which they developed a system of a 7-day week. And within that context, at the time, they recognized 7 celestial bodies moving around, which they could see, and the first 2 bodies, which they considered to be very important for them, were the sun and the moon. And so, of course, that's why we end up with some of those days very, very early on. Sunday, of course, we still have it coming across into the English as Sunday. The Monday, it doesn't really sound very much exactly that way. A little bit maybe, moon. But it's actually in the case of French, we get it to lundi, so you actually get the Monday. And of course, the other bodies would change somewhat because of the association with other gods. So, but we still get the sense of them when it comes to the French or the Spanish, which is a little bit more direct from those languages. So the Mars Day or Mardi, which we now have as Thursday or Tuesday, after the Norse god Thor. And then, of course, you go into the Wednesday, which is miércoles in one language, or mercredi. So that association with Mars, and then you go on and you got into jeudi, which has an association with Jupiter, I believe, and then you end up with vendredi, which has association with Venus, and then Saturday or Samedi having association with, as we know, the planet Saturn. So many of these were seen as being very significant, to the extent that, of course, we even named the days of the week after them. And so, looking into this whole matter, of course, one of those major events that quite often came about, and which was seen as potentially causing all sorts of beliefs attached to them, was that of the eclipse. And of course, eclipses, as we now understand them, have to do with effectively shadows. One celestial body getting in the way of the light from another celestial body. And that sometimes happens in the daytime, and that sometimes happens at nighttime. And it sometimes will involve different phenomena and different positions, of course, but invariably it's involving the moon, one way or the other, even though it's during the day. And so lunar eclipses tend to be a lot more common. because of the pattern of the moon and the movement of it around the earth. But solar eclipses are not as common, and certainly what you will find fairly common enough are partial eclipses. But having total solar eclipses are certainly pretty fairly rare, one can say. And so there's been quite a bit of a fuss over in the United States of America and North America as a result of the fact that they are going to be witnessing, not over the entire country, but within a particular band of the United States, they're going to be experiencing a total eclipse, and that's already underway. And as again, the shadow of that moon getting into the path of the sun's light is going to effectively cast that region of darkness. Some regions are going to become dark during the daytime as a result of just that, and so it's going to be starting off across Mexico in the Sinaloa state and heading roughly in a northeasterly direction as the sun and moon continue to move, and you're going to be seeing that over fairly short periods of time in each location as it continues to make its traverse. And so, of course, nearly 33 million people live in that band within which you actually are going to see that total eclipse. And of course, many people are actually now looking to flood or to go into these places to actually take part in this moment. And so, no doubt, for many, of course, you've got to be wary of the impacts of looking at the sun directly, and that's why there's a need for wearing special glasses, Polaroids, to be able to protect your eyes from that direct view. So, still, of course, a very, very interesting phenomenon. Us here in the Caribbean, and certainly in St. Lucia, we're not going to be able to see much of it, or any of it really. I think only the northern islands, like Cuba, they might only get a very partial eclipse viewing of maybe just about 10% is the estimate there. The next total solar eclipse in St. Lucia, if you are so interested, is going to happen on the 17th of October in the year 2153. So we have a bit of a wait to go for us to see a total solar eclipse here in St. Lucia. It would therefore mean that you probably have to travel somewhere else to be able to catch a solar eclipse. We're due to have a partial solar eclipse in 2028, so that's not too far away, and only about 1,400 days away, on the 26th of January in the year 2028. That's when it is believed and it's predicted that we are going to be seeing that next eclipse. Some people were asking, well, why is it that we can't see it? I mean, it's the same sun, it's the same moon, but it really is about angles and the movement of these objects. So it is in fact not casting the shadow across the moon is not going to be casting a big enough shadow to completely block out the sun for everybody. And so that's why it's really only certain places within a certain path at a certain time they're actually going to be able to visualize that. In the case of the United States, their next total solar eclipse is dated somewhere in the year 2044. So again, 20 years away. But again, it's in a fairly remote or underpopulated part of the United States in the Dakotas. That region in the northwest is really where only there would be actually able to view that. So this is the one that is actually coming in and could potentially be enjoyed by a lot of people at the same time. Now, over the weekend, we unfortunately also saw, despite the beautiful weather that we were enjoying and appreciating how wonderful our island is, and we should have been enjoying that, but unfortunately we saw a number of incidents of violence impacting our island, and to the extent I would say that some of them seemed, one of them in particular, a homicide in the community, very quiet community of Pebush Babonneau, in which an individual was seemingly macheted to death. And these sort of gruesome crimes, these images, we have not seen for some time. We've seen quite a bit, of course, of gun violence, and sometimes those two can be pretty gruesome, but in this instance, very, very unfortunate. To the extent that, in fact, I had to inquire, is this real? Because, sometimes you see these images circulating, and they're pulled off from some other place, and people say, well, this is hair, and I'd actually had to find out for sure as to, in fact, whether that was the case, and it does appear to be an actual and legitimate image, unfortunate as it is in this instance, and that in fact brings the current homicide count to 26 for the year thus far. And remember, we are still very early into the fourth month of the year, not even a full 1/3 of the way through this current year. So you can just imagine, if we continue at this rate, we're already speaking about potentially ending up into the high 70s by the end of the calendar year. And that is very, very concerning, and it continues to be immensely concerning, the extent of violence that we are witnessing on island. And one such infographic which was circulating not too long ago had the world's highest homicide rates, and it gave a rank of the top 10 homicide countries with the highest homicide rates for that period, usually pretty much looking at data coming from the year 2022. So one can say it's a little, it's not last year's data, which is actually the year before. And even in that instance, quite unfortunately, barring just three countries, all these other countries in the top 10 were coming from the Caribbean. And in fact, number 10 on that list was Ecuador, and that's a South American country, and it had a rate of 27 homicides per 100,000 people in the population. So you can, of course, already look at the scenario that we have in terms of our current homicide rate. We just said that we just had 26 homicides, and we have roughly about 195,000 people in St. Lucia. We're already, with just 1/3 of the year gone, we're already at that point where we are heading towards that. It's not yet, of course, that 27. It'll be a little less than that, because you're going to take that figure and divide it by 1.95. But you're already seeing how high that rate is, and we're nowhere near the midway of this year. Then Belize with 27.9 per 100,000. And this is a standard way of measuring homicide rates across the world, because remember, we're looking at countries with different populations. So you sort of unitize it, you bring it to a standard number, and it's normally 100,000. So it's a number of homicides per 100,000. St. Kitts and Nevis, 29.4 homicides per 100,000. The Bahamas, 31.2 homicides per 100,000. South Africa, 34 homicides per 100,000. And one could say, in terms of that list, of course, South Africa, a much, much larger country than all the rest, with I think a population of nearly 50 million or so inhabitants. So you can appreciate that when we're speaking about, in the case of South Africa, 34 homicides per 100,000, you're talking about a significantly large number of homicides in total. Now, in addition to that, number 5, Honduras, with 35.1 per 100,000. And number 4 on the list is St. Lucia, with 36.7 homicides for every 100,000 of the population. Trinidad and Tobago is number 3 with 39.5. And I just pointing out, this is using data from the year 2022. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 40.4 per 100,000. And Jamaica topped that list in that year, unfortunately, with 53.3 per 100,000. And just for context and just for the point of comparison, the world average is 5.8 per 100,000. 5.8 per 100,000. So effectively, you could easily say that we right now, our homicide rate is 6 times the world average. The United States, a country of course, 330 million people, world's wealthiest country, their average is 6.4 per 100,000. And so that gives you a sense of where the rest of the world is, and the fact that we are significantly, very, very elevated. And it would be fair to say that the Caribbean is definitely a hot spot when it comes to the issue of violence, and that type of criminality is certainly very, very, very worrying. It is, of course, a transnational issue that we are dealing with. It is an issue that is impacting trade. Obviously it impacts our economy, but it is also tied to a lot of what is going on within the informal sector, as we have, of course, been very aware of for many, many years. And so one can say it's almost an unfortunate circumstance that we find ourselves in, being next to the largest market for narcotics in the world, as well as the largest producer of guns and ammunition in the world. And we are finding ourselves implicated in that trade and that reality. And it is having clearly very, very negative and deleterious impacts on our families and our societies, and this trend that we are continuing to see right now. It is, of course, a matter that is not going to go away very easily, and we're seeing many of the drivers in it are continuing to become more pervasive. And of course, we've also got to speak about the issue of our men, our boys, who are invariably the ones who are the victims in the first instance, but directly as victims as well as perpetrators. And it's largely what we generally are seeing is male-on-male violence, and young male-on-young male violence. That is the median, so to speak, as to where we are finding ourselves with respect to crime and violence. And so how that matter is addressed from that social perspective is certainly going to have a discourse on how we are dealing with the issue of raising young men, raising boys in society right now, because it is very apparent that they are under threat. They are the principal target and conduit through which we are seeing a lot of this violence actually being perpetrated upon. So we've got to end it here. So, of course, it is our dish of the day. When we come back, we can take in our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gas and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries. Bosses, you Grozile. Clark Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
And welcome back to our lunchroom, and we're going to take in our weather report at this time. So, of course, we are heading across to Maureen, and she's going to share with us the 12 noon weather report from the St. Lucia Met Services.
Thank you so much, Calixte. It's now time for the latest weather report as of 12 noon today, brought to you with the compliments of the Island Style in Bath.
Island Style, yeah. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, yeah. We'll have to make the right choice. Island Style, whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island Style, oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island Style.
We have tiles and insets, pieces and grout. Everything you need to sort the house out. For the best price and the latest style, take a little drive down to Island Style car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality, price, service, choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Bellarosa, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Castries, and behind Rubis Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. Or call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And we now take a look at the latest weather report as of 12 noon today. The forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. The winds will be blowing from the east near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. And the weather, generally fair skies. On now to the marine forecast for seas in a 25-mile or 40-kilometer radius from St. Lucia. For the Castries Harbour, high tide will be at 4 this afternoon and the low tide at 13 minutes after 9 tonight. The Vieux Bay's high tide will be at 7 minutes after 5 this afternoon, and the low tide will be at 20 minutes before 11 tonight. The seas are moderate, the waves 4 to 6 feet, the same as 1.2 to 1.8 meters in open waters. For the Lesser Antilles, it's fair to partly cloudy skies with a few brief showers. And the weather summary, the Atlantic high pressure system will generate light to moderate easterly winds across the Eastern Caribbean during the next few days. And generally dry and stable conditions are expected over the region during the next 24 hours. That is, the Atlantic high pressure system will generate light to to moderate easterly winds across the eastern Caribbean region during the next few days. And we're looking at generally dry and stable conditions over the region during the next 24 hours. And that is the official weather report. Join us again in the morning at around 6:30 when our next report is due on the station from the Met Service. The weather report was brought to you by Island Style Thailand Bath.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Island style, we got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, we'll have to make the right choice. Island style, whoa, we got the time that will make you happy. Island style, oh yeah, we make your dream come alive. In Island style,
We have tiles and insets, mixes and ground. Everything you need to sort the house out. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style Car.
we got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality, price, service, choice. It's all an Island style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Belarus, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Castries, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. Or call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, it is 452-3046. And you can also send in your messages to the WhatsApp group as well as our... Sorry, not the WhatsApp group, the Facebook Live group. And you can send in your messages as well to WhatsApp or call in to 724-0008. So let's go to the phone lines at this time. Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Good afternoon, Mr. George.
How are you doing, sir?
And how? Not too bad, not too bad.
Wonderful.
But I call because I'm listening to the ratio you given on what the crime happening. But there is a country you never mentioned there, Barbados. What happened to Barbados?
Well, it's not on that top 10 list. That's what it is.
Yeah, but it's all the time I hear St. Lucia and this. So we can do the same because we are a tourist country. And we do, when those ratio goes out, papers like The Sun in England, they take it and they print it. They're showing you how the island is bad, how people getting killed, and this, that. It leave a bad impression and a bad taste in St. Lucian mouth. So why we cannot do like Barbados?
Barbados' rate is, from what I'm seeing, 15.3. They had 43 homicides in the year 2022.
So why you didn't mention it?
It was not in the top 10.
Okay.
So the list that I called out was the top 10 in the world.
Yeah.
Right. That was what we were sharing.
Okay.
Yes. So that just to give you some perspective, that's what it was. There was one actually we didn't include, and I'm not sure if it wasn't included in that list because they were only looking at independent countries. But the U.S. Virgin Islands, in fact, if it was included, I'm seeing here it would have been, that figure might be a little dated too, but it was 49.6 per 100,000, which would put it almost second in the world. So they have a pretty high rate.
But the Bahamas itself, there's a lot of crime going on in Bahamas.
Yes, certainly, and it's been flagged because the Bahamas is a very popular tourist destination, especially for cruise.
So those big boats that they have their headquarters on there as well.
A lot of them go through there. A lot of them have their own islands. There's
an island.
Renting out their own islands.
Everything. They sell everything.
Yeah, so they are certainly experiencing some significant challenges as well with respect to crime. But it's very clear that overall we should also mention that based on the data again, if you look at regions, the Americas has the highest homicide rate. It's in the world, right? The Americas region. So North and South America, that this hemisphere is at 15.
The Western Hemisphere.
The Western Hemisphere. So we talk about Central America, the Caribbean, South America, and North America, but all put together, the rate is almost 15 per 100,000. And you compare that to Asia and Europe, their rate is about two homicides per 100,000.
Yeah, but when they come to Europe, they hold in demand. But there is a lot of murderers in St. Lucia, Monsassy. People that kill and they walk in amongst people.
Well, that is a very scary part, caller, because what we're seeing, when you think about it, it's with the number of homicides that we're seeing. We're averaging about over 70 easily for the past 5 years.
Over 70, yeah.
Right? So, I mean, that is an astounding number of homicides. 350 people killed by whom, and we have not really seen, so it would really mean that we quite likely have individuals who are serial killers. They're engaging in multiple homicides. That is an unfortunate situation, yeah, and so the issues of justice, of actually being able to find these individuals, prove the cases.
Murder in St. Lucia is the drugs,
Well,
drugs. Most of the time, you have two young men. That is gang business. Once you had two young men dead in Deadlow and things, that is gang business. And what the drugs, those gang there is drugs.
Yeah, so for the most part, it would appear that way. It would appear that it's related to gang violence, reprisal killings, but at the end of the day, caller, somebody, as you said, looking from the outside, looking in, they're not really looking at what's causing it. They're just looking at the headline figure, and that's usually going to be concerning for them, So overall, what can we say? People are still coming to the Caribbean, yes, but we should not take comfort in just that fact that we do have to deal with this for ourselves because of the impact that it is having on our citizens, on people who are in very many instances clearly being driven into this kind of lifestyle due to inequality, due to issues of poverty. There are a lot of other issues.
Talking about poverty, Mr. George, when I grew up, St. Lucia was very, very, very poor.
Of course.
Very poor. Women getting old at 40, and they used to wear patch trousers, patch dress. When something happened to the dress, they patch it. They don't just throw it away. And by the time they're 40, they're already looking old.
But look at how things have changed, caller. What it is now is that yes, that may be the case, but maybe there wasn't even an appreciation that we were poor then, right? Because everybody was living a similar kind of lifestyle. So the differences in the wealth were not very much there and very apparent. But now we're in a very global world. People are seeing lots of things that they aspire to want, right? And we're quite often not seeing, really and truly, what it's really going to take to get some of these things. And that inequality, that ability to see what's out there, it's kind of like, I guess, Adam and Eve and the apple.
That never see toys. Right now they see toy and they go mad, they go crazy.
Right, so you're seeing lots of these things. So now, everybody wants the consumerism that comes with this awakening, so to speak, that we have, and as you say now, it's a different time. Before people would have one pair of pants, they would keep that one pair and they would use it continuously. They would wash it every day. In today's society, people are buying clothes to use only once, and then throw away.
What's happening now, again, when I look on it, is you find that something else was coming up there with me. I getting old now, Mr. George.
we would never think that.
From my head, what I was coming to say. But what, I get it back. We was under the British. And to me, everything was going different to what it is now. You see? And whatever little money the British used to give us to run the country, and that time they have Governor General will say this, and they'll have other people like Pilgrim and all those they're working for the government. But things was going okay. The hospital used to run okay. Policemen used to have, they used to run free shift. They go on duty 6 o'clock in the morning, and by 6, and I think is 2 o'clock, another set go out, and they come 6, and 6, you have another shift that go out, and I think it's 4 shifts they have, because one finished around 10 o'clock, and the other one will take early hour in the morning. And all the night you've seen policemen on our street.
I get what you're saying, in terms of that aspect, but then the big question that you have to also think of is, we have more police officers now.
And you don't see not one, after a certain time, you don't see not one on the street.
But the population has grown. The where we live has changed. I mean, the footprint of Castries back in those days was very, very confined. A police officer could potentially just walk around, and the number of people that were in that downtown Castries area was far more dense.
All they had was a whistle and a butu.
And so we've changed that dynamic. We've
well, who changed it? Because since we get independent, things go haywire.
Well, I'm not sure that it's since we got independent, but
that's how I look at it.
But we certainly adopted. We wanted to grow, so we took on expansion of our urban space. So right now, everybody wants
all the expansion we done from independence. Is it good or bad?
Well, some of it is good, some of it is bad.
I agree with that.
So it's a mixed situation. Some people.
But we had the matron running our hospital, and the hospital the matron have to be clean and pick and span, and the hospital as clean as a whistle. They pass with their finger and looking for dust in the hospital, and now people go to hospital if they want. If they want anything to do with the shower, they have to go and buy their own shower curtain. They tell you walk with your bed sheet. What kind of thing is that?
Oh, you mean in terms of... right, I don't know about that part, because obviously...
Yeah, but in ways, I grew up, I've been to hospital for my appendix, and if you see how those people used to keep the hospital clean and those things there, and police doing their job, and then we get our independent, and we should inform that, and everything go haywire. Good afternoon, Mr. George.
Okay, all right, caller. Thanks very much for that point of view, and of course the number to call in. The number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 4523046. Of course, that last caller wants us to perhaps go back to the good old days, as quite few people quite often may view them. But of course, the other reality is things have changed considerably. People are living longer lives. So 60 years ago, the average age life expectancy might have been, 40, 45? Now it's 70, 75. Some may say that's a great improvement, better life. And so let's see what the other caller wants to say today. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Good afternoon, Mr. George.
How are you doing, sir?
How's your family?
They're very blessed. Thanks for asking.
Everybody all right?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, well, that last caller wants us to go back to the future, man.
Back to the future.
You know,
Well,
drop our flag and raise the Union Jack again.
well, you know, caller, a lot of St. Lucians you heard in conversation.
No, you hear that. It's a very popular thing.
We would have been
Yes,
better
you
off if we were
represented-
French. That's a very popular thing. Look at Martinique. Look at the development that they have. And so maybe we should have still been a French department.
No, but yeah, well, I mean, you hear that because, I mean, you could compare Martinique with us, and they're not independent. And perhaps, but you cannot equate Martinique with France. You know, Martinique state with regards to France, and suggest that if we had remained with Britain, it would be similar. I don't think Britain would, you know, I don't know, you know, would be, in fact, even treat us, because remember, Martinique is sort of a department, eh?
Yes, it's an overseas department.
I think wouldn't consider us a department of them. Britain, certainly not.
They've gone differently, yes. I think now when you look at the Caribbean, they have British overseas territories. So we
But
have,
like you try to explain to the gentleman, there are, you know, a multiplicity of reasons why these things will face these challenges, you know, as we, as we proceed as an independent people. And I mean, that's no reason for us to suggest that if we didn't do it, we'd have been better off, you know, and comparing. Certainly, I mean, you know, in the times past, life was, you know, like you said that, you know, I mean, you know, the population was much more manageable, and, you know, there was an enlightenment as to, you know, everything, the global communication bring a lot of things, you know, to people, and people get exposed to things that they would like to have, and it has created, you know, a different kind of environment. Anyway, these statistics you threw out there concerning crime,
homicides.
yeah. What year? 2022.
Yes.
That's so. In absolute numbers, how many did St. Lucia have?
In 2022, I think the figure that they were working with was 66.
66.
So of course, there'd be two figures that you'd have to work out. What did they consider the population to be, the estimated population?
Yeah, I know. I
And
mean,
then
it's a simple.
and the homicide count. Yeah.
The amount for the year divided by 180 and multiplied by 100. You understand?
Yes.
Because we have 180,000.
That's correct.
So per thousand, it divided by 180 and multiply by 100. Okay, would give you in absolute terms. So it wasn't 72, eh?
I don't think they used. I'm not too sure as to what precisely they used, because they didn't actually, in that table, they didn't actually give you.
Just assuming if it was 72, that would have thrown it to 40.
Yes, right. So I believe they used 66.
Okay, if it's 66, it would be maybe between 35 and 40. Okay? We could assume that. All right? Hello?
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah. But, and how do you see that compared with the others that we were what? Fourth?
In that list, we were number 4.
Behind who?
We were behind Trinidad and Tobago, St. Vincent, and Jamaica.
St. Vincent's why, eh?
Yeah.
And Jamaica. Okay. But the assertion, you think there's empirical evidence to back the assertion that these numbers really significantly affect tourism?
Well,
numbers.
okay, and I was just making the point that it does not seem that it is in
Then
fact.
tourists wouldn't be going to Jamaica again, you know.
Okay.
You know what I'm
and
saying?
the Bahamas is on that list too,
Absolutely.
right? And it doesn't appear that there's
Top
any.
10, yeah.
No.
And I mean, you remember Cuba, pre-Castro era. I mean, riddled with crime and, you know, the most kind of thing, I mean. You know, you're talking about mafiaism and all kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the people were still going there.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you see, the tourists, I think, quite early, I think those people managing the tourist industries and realize that they have to show two, like, you know, two faces of St. Lucia, two faces of Jamaica. You understand?
Yes.
And they promote the tourists they're targeting. They're promoting you know what they have to.
Well,
they subdue the other part of it.
What the
And
model?
it's like that in St. Lucia also.
Oh yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you promote weddings, romance, and you know what I mean. That kind of thing. We you know.
But in addition to
romance
that,
and so on.
in addition to that, caller, there is a deliberate effort at creating enclaves, right? Or,
Exactly.
so the
Exactly.
visitor is not expected to
It's like
really
like
interact
contributing-
with the community,
Absolutely.
and so that's why we saw the rise of all inclusives in Jamaica, and now of course in Mexico and in Saint Lucia.
Exactly. And if you have to venture out of these enclaves, make sure you are heavily secured. You know. You understand?
So you're going on a set package tour, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and you buy into that from out there. You know, a package store, and you know, well, you feel secure. So that is the kind of thing. Tourism, you know,
But then, of course, if we are going to be talking about village tourism, community-based tourism,
well,
now you see that
that's where these things come in. That's why these things do seem to be doing as well as we'd have expected over the years. You know what I'm saying?
well, some places have been able to achieve some successes. I mean, at least they've been held up as successes in the literature. So, like in Brazil, for instance, in Rio de Janeiro, which of course is one of the more popular destinations for people going to Brazil. They talk about favela tourism, and favela is you know,
that's interesting.
what we would call the ghetto, you know.
Yeah.
And bringing people to, and of course looking at seeing, well, what can that community offer in terms of culture, in terms of experience.
That too, you see, you have a kind of tourists that don't mind, you know.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, they don't mind it, you know, because they're ready to go with whatever, you know, risks and so on, and just you know, they say when you're feeling at risk, the adrenaline flowing more, you know. It excites them more.
Well, yes, you're right. Well, and it's interesting that you're saying so, because that's one of the areas we're using to, not specifically that example like in favela tourism, but we're using the tagline adventure tourism.
Yeah,
right now.
There you go.
So
exactly.
A lot of people are looking for this kind of outdoors, you know, going into not a pure manicured type of visitor experience.
Like these people who go to Spain and everything when they have the bulls running in the street and they still risk their lives, you know, running in a crowd in front of.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
These people who go bungee jumping in certain countries where there's no, where it's more than a culture than just to show your maturity and your manhood, to prove your manhood. So this is not a thing that you protected and you do as a sport. But you know, you actually, if it's not precise, you get killed, you know. And you'll always have that, you know. And I think, but I don't know. I'm not suggesting that we should be oblivious of the fact that some way, our crime level will impact our tourism. But the extent, I don't know how much, And I mean, if you have evidence of that, I would be grateful if you could come anytime and show us that, because we seem to be using that sometimes as
Put it this way, caller. Put it this way. It doesn't appear that it's correlated, because we've been seeing continuous increases in our visitor arrivals.
Yeah.
And we're seeing at the same time increases in homicide.
Well,
If anything,
I question it.
If anything, we might almost assume that crime and tourism are correlated. So
anyway,
and there is a theory about that too. I believe that people have said that if you're getting more flights, you're getting more traffic. So it will invariably mean that these networks will also bring criminal activity as well.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting
because,
phenomenon.
We're not living in a bubble, and crime is everywhere.
Exactly.
It's really.
Exactly that.
Okay, my brother.
Thanks very much for that intervention, caller. Very much appreciated. Okay, thanks. Right. So, of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 4523046. Again, 4523046. And we've been looking at that issue of how to balance things off, of course, the desire to want to have a tourism product that is more engaged at the community level, spreading the wealth. It's not about the all-inclusives alone and big hotels, but to ensure that it happens. But, of course, that would require, I would think, a safe community as well. Let's take another call. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Yes, good afternoon. Earlier on you mentioned about the Americas having some of the highest homicide rates or crime rates in the world.
Yes, by region, yes.
I wonder if it has to do with the history of the Americas.
Very much so.
Colonization and subjugation of people causing inequality. The fact that people, like you have, let's say, if you look at America conquest was done by the gun, and of course everybody had the right to bear arms. Mm-hmm. Then you have the trade of drugs from South America to meet the demand in North America. So I wonder if all that historical experience has led us to that particular point.
I would have no doubt about it, caller, that is exactly what is afoot there. And the point has been made by many criminologists and people who study this field that crime exists where you have high levels of inequality in society, right? That difference in some people having and some people not having, some people having a lot and many people not having, causes, it breeds violent crime. And that is exactly our story, certainly in the Caribbean and, of course, across the Americas on a whole. So this is perhaps one of those clear markers of that, those hundreds of years of inequality that exists. Because let's face it, where's had more war than places like Europe and Asia, but they're not seeing that level of criminal activity right now. It's a very, very different situation there.
Okay.
Thanks very much for pointing that out, caller. And just to give you the based on the 2021 figures from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, the Americas, as I said, highest rate 15 per 100,000. That is followed by Africa at 12.7 per 100,000. Oceania, that's of course the Pacific Island regions, 2.9. Asia 2.3 per 100,000 and Europe 2.2. Let's try to squeeze in one final call before we end the program. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you doing, caller?
I'm fine, thank you. Before I start, good afternoon, Mr. George is patriotically British, so leave him alone.
Who is patriotically British?
Good afternoon, Mr. George. The gentleman that called you, good afternoon, Mr. George.
Oh, okay, our good friend, yes. Well, I mean, he has his perspectives of, I suppose, of living in colonial St. Lucia, also migrating to the United Kingdom, and of course now retired in an independent St. Lucia, and having those perspectives. And a lot of people draw those conclusions too. So, well, of course, it's a little bit more complex than that. So
yeah, but at the end of the day, you cannot stay under the wings of somebody. Just like you have your child after a day, after a certain time, they get married and get out of under your wings. So we need that independence. It's true. I mean, people of my grandparents and others would say this, might say the same thing. But come on, you have to also admit that youth, your people, are capable of doing just as much as the British and them do.
Mm-hmm.
We put ourselves down too many times. We always feel it's the British and the French and this and that have to do things first. But we are capable of doing it. We have enough intelligent people to do some of the things that those people are doing. But what I called for, we were there at the road. I went on a walk on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, because the French embassy, along with alias the Forces,
right,
758 Road Runners, and Blind Welfare. Now that race was supposed to start at the top of the distillery. In Roseau.
In Roseau, okay, yes.
So he said that we have to do. And I say I'm going to do the walk because I didn't realize it would have been so bad. So, because I always do walks. It's 13 years I'm doing walks.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got there, I did a good distance because I climbed the Lacroix Hill and everything. But when you get to a certain point, right, the road curves, this place is just really, really bad. Cars are just flying past. Although they were police, they were like riders and fellas on bike, but come on. And top of it, they could not pass on the Millennium Highway. We had to go up the Mon.
Wow, that's a good walk you're doing. So you started off at the Roseau Distillery.
Yes, but when I just
up to where is the destination?
To
the end point.
Pyramid.
Oh wow! Okay.
From Roseau to the pyramid at Point.
So you had to go over 2 ridges. Okay.
Yeah, but I would like to point to Mr. Avril. Mr. Avril started the walk from the starting point to the pyramid, and he never stopped.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Were like about 16 of us are blind and visually impaired.
Yes.
They were like 4 blind people completed the race.
Right.
Visually impaired also but when I reached I passed a distance, I said, no way, come on, that was too much. That one, it was. So I took a ride and I got to the place. But Mr. Avel, being a man, he did not want to stop.
Well, that's good. That is good.
Determined. I mean, that's his man pride. I mean, why stop? Men can.
Well, congratulations to him. That's really impressive at his age.
Yeah,
certainly.
He, Tixie, a guy named Tixie, totally blind. Georgia, she's a masseuse, totally blind, and her husband is visually impaired. And Jazzy, who is, I was working with Jazzy because she was my guide, but she goes at a speed. Well, I was able to go with his speed, but there comes a point where you say enough is enough, and you stop. But I just, it was really good. At the end of the day, I think he got it to the pyramid about minutes to 11 or after 11, so, and we started at about 6:30. At least he was determined to walk the whole way.
Well, that's excellent. That's excellent.
Yeah, well, I think they said next year is going to be on a Sunday because it wasn't right for that day, the Saturday. But I thought it was still fun because there were lots of people there. A whole lot of French people came down for that walk.
Okay.
A large number of them.
Right.
Yeah, so it was good.
Well, I'm very glad to hear about that. Thanks so very much for sharing with us. Yes, that road, I know they're supposed to be doing some construction on it now, so that West Coast Road, I'm not sure if there are going to be any sidewalks included. But let's hope so. In that section that you're talking about, because there is a fair bit, yes, the Lacroix Mingo region, yes, quite a large community around there, Basse Joseph. So I can well see that it may very well require that, given the speeds that people are using around there as well. Certainly.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing with us, caller, on that one.
All right, take it. Bye-bye.
And have a good one.
I will.
And that will have to be our final call for today. And we thank all those who've been contributing as well in the Facebook chat. And of course, we'll be back again, God willing, tomorrow for another program of the Lunchroom. So we hope you can join us for that. I'm your host, Calixte Eorge Jr., saying goodbye.